Hello, hungry travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're here in Vermont. And today we're going to talk about what you should eat and drink when you come here to the Green Mountain State, because Vermont has so many tasty treats you're going to enjoy when you're here, but you need to know what you need to have when you're going to come. And the one thing my friend who's lived here for years, Rusty, told me, he's like, Mark, look, you got to start with this. You got to tell them, make sure they grab a Creemee. You're not sure what a Creemee is? You might know it as a soft serve ice cream cone. Yes, a Creemee is delicious, and everybody around the state has their favorite Creemee place, okay? So just ask where you should go, and the locals will tell you. And make sure, if you can, get a maple Creemee, made out of maple syrup, for a little extra, Vermonter bonus when you have it. But a Creemee is a must. You gotta have that. It's always good to start with dessert before we get going. And I know I just mentioned the maple syrup in the Creemees, but honestly, maple syrup is really a thing here in Vermont. Like, people go and tap their own trees in their yard to make their own maple syrup, and people love it here. And so when you're here, make sure you buy to take home 100% pure Vermont maple syrup. Oh my God, it's next level different. I mean, I'm not joking. Like, you might be used to that high fructose corn syrup stuff you get at the store, which is fine, don't get me wrong. I mean, I love my log cabin too, but 100% pure Vermont maple syrup is next level amazing. So whether you're having French toast or pancakes in the morning, or just mixing it with something, I mean, it is unbelievable, and it makes a great gift to take home. But I'm going to tell you, do not open it before you get home, because once you open Vermont maple syrup and you pop that seal, you got to start refrigerating it, okay? So just have a heads up. But that is one of the things you really want to have when you're here. And if you're here in the winter time, you might see another tasty treat as well, and that is actually sugar snow. And all sugar snow is straight up pouring maple syrup, like more maple syrup, onto snow. And then it crystallizes and hardens, and you eat that? Yeah, it's pretty like, wait, is that just like sugar together? Yeah, it is. And it's amazing. So if you can get that in the wintertime, definitely. I mean, I'm here in the summer, so hence why you're not seeing any B-roll of that, of me chowing down on it, because it's not something you get in the summertime, okay? But if you're here in the winter, sugar snow is a must. Now, another kind of odd thing you might see occasionally here in Vermont, like, you don't see it all over the place, but if you look up foods of Vermont, it actually pops up quite often, are fiddleheads, which basically, it's a rolled up fern. It's a greenery. And you eat that, and it's cooked in different ways, but that's probably the greenest of the green things you can have when you're here in Vermont. But it isn't something you find all over the place, but it's something you'll see pop on the menu occasionally. So if you see it, get some. But one kind of veggie fruit thing you will see a lot of when you are here are apples and all the stuff to go along with apples. So yes, do expect to have some great apples, some amazing apple pie when you're here. Oh, maybe you want some cider? Oh yeah, the cider's good here, adult version and kid version, but also the cider donuts, especially in the fall. Oh, so good. If you can get some, grab some. If they're hot, even better. And something you might see at your local grocery store is actually the Vermont cheeses. When you're here in Vermont, there's a lot of dairy, okay? And that dairy means you get to have some really good stuff. And the cheeses are fantastic. And you'll see Vermont cheddar all over the place around the country, but it's not just cheddar. There's all kinds of great cheeses you can have when you're here. And you actually can go visit some of the cheese manufacturers around the state to learn how they make it, so you can learn about the cheese you really enjoy when you're here. And one place you might see that cheese pop up is a Canadian delicacy that has crossed the border over into Vermont, and that is poutine, or gravy fries as some people like to call them, but let's be honest, they're poutine. If you're not sure what poutine is, it's French fries with cheese curds on top and then a brown gravy over that. Oh my God, it sounds crazy, but it's so good. And if you can have it with some of the Vermont beer, even better, okay? Now, the poutine, I gotta tell you, you get more of the poutine the farther you go north in Vermont. If you're in the south of Vermont, you don't see it as often, but the more north you go, you really can get it. And oh my gosh, it's so good. And since I did mention the beer, I gotta tell you, one thing you gotta have when you're in Vermont is Vermont beer. I mean, I've traveled over the world, and I gotta tell you, Vermont has some of the best beer in the world. And you'll see breweries all over the state. Like, it seems like every little town you go to has multiple breweries. You can eat at the brewery, you can drink at the brewery, you can buy the cans of beer to take with you. Because look, when some of these breweries here come out with their yearly ales, people come from all over the US to come and buy some, because the beer here in Vermont is fantastic. because it's so fresh, it's so good. I mean, you're just gonna drink local when you're here. And the thing is, you can take it home with you to enjoy back home. So grab a few 4-packs, and you'll see what I'm talking about, 4-packs when you're here to take some of that Vermont goodness, that liquid Vermont Gold, home with you. Actually, I will tell you, the 2 best souvenirs to bring back from Vermont to give to people, or maybe to keep for yourself, 100% pure Vermont maple syrup and Vermont beer. I mean, oh my gosh, you can't go wrong with either of them, okay? Oh, another thing you can't go wrong with, anytime you see any fruit pies, oh my gosh, like I said, the apple pie or strawberry rhubarb pie or any kind of just fruit pies here are really, really good. And I think one of the things that's really good about it is it's always usually made with fresh local ingredients. And that's one thing you didn't know. Here in Vermont, this whole, farm to table movement, it's not a movement here. It's not a trend here. It's a way of life in Vermont. People want to have their Vermont cheese on their food here. They want to have their Vermont venison when they're here, their Vermont lamb, their Vermont bread. I mean, it is about stuff from Vermont when you're here, and you'll see that on the menus here. You have so many options that's farm to table that sometimes they don't even say it's farm to table. It's kind of obvious that's from here in Vermont, so you're gonna have that. And if you want to get some local produce and some local things, I also recommend hitting up a farmer's market when you are here in Vermont. And it's kind of cool because you have locally produced, food that's there, but also, as my friend Rusty says, it's whimsical local produce as well, and local products. And so you have so many cool things at those farmers markets to grab and enjoy that you really need to take it in, because buying local and eating local is super, super Vermont, okay? And now I know sometimes when people travel, they're looking for restaurants they know, and I gotta tell you, don't expect to find any chain restaurants when you're here in Vermont. I mean, okay, you'll see some, like there is a Dunkin' Donuts just right down the way from where I'm at. I mean, we're not heathens here. We have Dunkin' in Vermont, but honestly, chain restaurants, chain bars, chain coffee shops aren't really a Vermont thing. Vermonters love Vermont food. So you're gonna be eating at a local diner, a local restaurant, getting your beer from a local pub. I mean, that's what you're gonna do here. You're not gonna get it from the chains. So if you're looking online to try to find places to eat and you're like, I've never heard of this kind of restaurant or this restaurant, that's normal, because it's all about local Vermont production and local Vermont restaurants, cafes, bars, diners. And it's such a wonderful thing because really you do see a lot of options, whether it's vegan, vegetarian, organic. I mean, it's wonderful, but I just want you to know you're gonna eat a lot of Vermont when you're here in Vermont. Anyway, I wish y'all the best, and I hope you have a great time eating and drinking here in Vermont, because it is a beautiful state to enjoy. Bye.